Something that's been gone for far too long, although at least it's on Netflix right now, and I do recommend that everybody watch it, is Splinter Cell. Now, Michael, over the months that you've been on Unlocked, it seems like every week, every 2 weeks, on a regular basis, I'm learning more about you and your gaming history and your gaming preferences and tastes. And almost every single time, you and I are just like spiritually aligned, and it's been amazing. So, are you a fellow Splinter Cell fan? Let me ask.
Man, you know, we talked a little bit about this in the past, but since we are talking about it, this is our leading topic for the day. I want to tell y'all about Splinter Cell. It was the Xbox game for me because it was a timed exclusive for Xbox, and it was the reason why my brother and I decided to get an Xbox. Because the lighting system was specifically made for Xbox, and the GameCube and PS2 versions had to be reconfigured to work well. But you know,
it had some of the best lighting we'd ever seen in a video game at the time.
Yeah, at the time, and it was wild. The original Splinter Cell, and like the idea of the light meter affecting whether or not you were detectable in the environment it created this tension that I remember experiencing in Thief, but Thief on PC was a little bit more of a, you know, I was maybe a little too young to like fully grasp the mechanics of Thief, but Splinter Cell had like had focused that down to something that was very manageable for me as a kid.
And not to mention that Splinter Cell had actual real-time dynamic lighting, which Thief was too old to have had.
Yeah, because that had to be baked in. The technology just wasn't there. But with Splinter Cell, it was revolutionary. And I mentioned this before too, is that when we first got an Xbox, it was Halo and Splinter Cell were the only games I had, and I ran through those campaigns like 5 times on the hardest difficulties. And I remember I was so good at Splinter Cell. No one cared. It's a single player game. And I was like the only kid in school who cared about Splinter Cell when I was in middle school. But I was so good. I knew all the patrol patterns. I knew how to manipulate the lighting. I knew how to use all the gadgets to the best of my ability. But yeah, Splinter Cell was huge for me, and Pandora Tomorrow, and Spies versus Mercs, and Chaos Theory to this day is the best in the series. And if you play Chaos Theory today, of course it's shown its age, but Chaos Theory for a long time looked like a current gen game. Like, there's something about Chaos Theory that was the vibe, the music, the level design, the gadgets, the way the physics work.
Soundtrack,
dude, that guy's the GOAT, man. Chaos Theory was a vibe, and if you can play it, if you haven't played it, you should play it today. But anyway.
Did you play the co-op campaign, the separate?
Yes. Yeah, because
so good, right?
So good, because it was separate missions. They were distinct missions. They didn't really have a story, but they were different from the single player one. So it felt like these completely different content that you just couldn't access unless you had a co-op partner.
Yep.
And I remember running through that with a friend, and we just we pulled an all-nighter to clear all those missions. And I was like, and this was a couple years after I had already played the campaign. So I was like, I didn't realize there was a whole nother game in this here. So,
and doing like the co-op moves where you'd like go back to back up to climb an elevator shaft, and like one person would crouch, the other person would run, and then the crouching guy would like throw him into the enemy like a human missile. There was so much. It was so good. I wonder the next time I see Joseph Ferris, I should ask him if he's played the Splinter Cell Chaos Theory co-op campaign, because he must have, right? Or if not, we're gonna blow his mind and be like, hey dude, you need to play this right now.
It takes 2, Sam Fishers. that would be Haze Light doing a Splinter Cell co-op would be nuts, dude.
So there is a reason that I'm bringing all of this up, and not just my usual. Usually there isn't. Usually it's like it's on the Unlocked like drinking game where it's like, oh, Ryan mentioned Splinter Cell, bottoms up. There is a reason for it this week, and it is there's a dynamic light of hope, if you will, that we might actually get another Splinter Cell game before we all die. And here we go. The original director of the remake, which got announced, by the way, Wow, late, yeah, exactly. 4 years ago. So it's been 4 years. There hasn't even been a trailer. Ubisoft announced it with a blog post that had like 3 pieces of concept art in it. So instead of we're remaking the game in using our in-house engine, and the original was on Unreal, and then we literally never heard anything since. But now the original director who had left, David Grivell, has returned to recommence his role as director on the game after having left Ubisoft in 2002. So, and obviously we've seen nothing in that time. Grivell confirmed the news himself in a post on LinkedIn saying, quote, "I am very, very happy to announce that I'm rejoining Ubisoft Toronto as game director on the Splinter Cell Remake," noting that the team and project are very special to him. He had previously, if you're wondering, all right, who's this dude? What are his credentials here? He'd previously worked at Ubisoft for just over a decade, from 2011 to 2022. Prior to his brief initial tenure as director on the remake, he contributed as a game designer on a variety of projects, including Splinter Cell Blacklist, aka the last Splinter Cell game we've gotten, and that was 13 years ago. He was also a designer on Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry Primal, Far Cry 4, and Far Cry 5. He rejoins Ubisoft after a stint at Ridgeline Games, working on the campaign mode for Battlefield 6 until EA abruptly closed that studio early last year. The Splinter Cell remake, which again was first announced way back in late 2021, has been skulking around in the dark for many years now. Little information about it has made its way into the light during that time, although we do know the story of the 2002 original that Michael has completely memorized is set to be updated to be, quote, more authentic and believable to a modern day audience. So give me your first reactions to this, Michael. Are you still just like, I'll believe it when I see it,
or believe it when I see it? Yeah. It's funny, like when you mentioned that this was announced in a blog post in 2021, it's like, okay, yeah, sure you're remaking Splinter Cell. Because I think when it comes to Ubisoft, their core franchises are pretty reliable in terms of like, you can expect a new Far Cry, you can expect a new Assassin's Creed, but outside of that, you're not sure what you're going to get. Like, we still don't have Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't think we ever will. And then something like X-Defiant, which I guess was the last time we actually had something in a Splinter Cell, like something Splinter Cell in a game, which closed down. So it's like, outside of those money printers, I would say, I don't put a lot of stock into that. So, but I mean, if you're going to hire someone with this pedigree, like with a history at Ubisoft to head up this project, I mean, it's a little bit more tangible than I had thought back in 2021. So there's more hope than there was before. Still not a lot, but more than usual, I guess. But yeah, and so it mentioned updating the story for it to make sense in the modern world. Like that, I think that's the thing with political thrillers. You look back on a lot of Tom Clancy stories. I've read Tom Clancy books back when I was a kid because I was like, I thought my brain was on some next level stuff. Of course, Splinter Cell wasn't up. Like, I think it was the first one of the few franchises that weren't a book with the Tom Clancy name that started as a video game. But I was still enraptured by the political theater and the sort of political drama of that game. But it just doesn't. You play something like that, and the story is kind of always secondary to these games, right? So it could go either way. Where if you update it, like, wow, this is it feels modernized and it makes sense in today's world because things have changed so much since 2002 in the world. But at the same time, you open yourself up to telling stories that are, maybe you need to have some savvy writers in that room to thread that needle. So yeah, but at the same time, I talked about this with Battlefield 6's campaign back when we talked about the game a couple months ago. At this point, is that I'm not getting my political education from a video game story. Of course, I want video game stories to be smart, and I want them to put in effort in storytelling. But sometimes that's like Splinter Cell is not a series I go to necessarily for groundbreaking storytelling. I want the drama to be there for sure. But also I'm not asking it to teach me about geopolitical the world, right? It's just like you read or like play something that is story based and narrative based. There's a lot of games out there that do cover those things in very smart ways. So, you know, I don't want to be like, just give me my stealth, give me my Sam Fisher, but at the same time, though, that's kind of the priority for a Splinter Cell game to me.
I went and found the blog, the blog announcing this game, December 15th, 2021. So we're like 12 days away as we're recording this from the 4-year anniversary of them announcing this, with nothing to show us so far other than those early bits of concept art that our producer had on the screen for you if you're watching this on video. And yeah, so it's been a long 4 years. I will say for my part here, obviously I'm the biggest Splinter Cell fan I know. And no offense, Michael. We can have a Splinter Cell trivia off later or something to establish who is the biggest fan. But I will say I have heard some things through the grapevine about this remake project over the last year or so. Nothing that could be substantiated enough into like a report I would publish on IGN, but you know, in our line of work, we do hear things. And what I'll say is, you know, I don't want anybody to aggregate anything here, but like the stuff I'd heard wasn't good. We'll just put it that way. Like the status of the project, it was not, the things I was hearing were not giving me a lot of optimism that this thing was even going to get done, quite frankly. So based on that, like based on the stuff that I'd been hearing about this, hearing that the original director has come back after 3 years, this actually does give me real optimism that Ubisoft as sort of on the corporate side and the creative team at Ubisoft Toronto are now back on the same page, and this thing is actually going to move forward and hopefully going to happen. So we'll see. I mean, thus I am taking this as very good news. Now, the fact that this gentleman was a designer on Blacklist, again, the last Splinter Cell game, that was a really good Splinter Cell game, other than not having Michael Ironside voicing Sam. Yeah. But from a gameplay perspective, it was really excellent. It was. I reviewed it for IGN. I think I gave it a 9. I guess I could go look, but it's hard to remember a 13-year-old review at this point. But
yeah,
it was very good. It was an excellent Splinter Cell game, and I really do hope that Ironside comes back for this reboot. Like, however, I did look this up, Michael. Ironside's 75.
Wow.
Which doesn't mean he can't work. Doesn't mean he can't be Sam again. But I do wonder if, you know, he would want to do it. If, if Ubisoft would want to try and kind of start fresh with somebody else. If probably, they have longer term plans. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, right? We can't be talking about longer term plans for Splinter Cell until they actually get something out the door. But I guess where I'm going with this is Ironside's my first choice. It would be amazing to at least have one more Splinter Cell game at all, and one more Splinter Cell game with Michael Ironside, because the last time he voiced Sam would have been Conviction.
Yeah,
which was from
2010, 2009.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So I think it's 15 years since Michael Ironside has voiced Sam.
He was 60 years old at the time, man. That's how time works.
But if for whatever reason it won't be Ironside in this remake, I hope they keep it consistent with the show and go with Liev Schreiber, because not just for the consistency's sake, but if you haven't watched the show, Schreiber's really good as Sam. Like, if you can't get Michael Ironside, or if it's not him, Schreiber did a great job. What did you think of the show, by the way? I don't think you and I have talked about it.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that could be my my little December break.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to. I want to catch up on shows. I want to do something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit fun, not too daunting. I'm not trying to get into a 5-season TV show off the bat or a mini series with hour-long episodes. Something a little bit lighter. I've heard nothing but good things. I know Alex Lee voices one of the characters. I've been following his journey through his involvement in the project. He does a lot of anime voice acting, and he's involved with the Splinter Cell project. So I was like, oh, okay, like. This it has some chops, and obviously like you reviewed it and you thought very highly of it. So maybe this is my ticket back into the Splinter Cell world.
It is a lower lift, I will say. If you're not looking, like I said, if you're not looking to get into any heavy commitments on the entertainment front over the break, it's 8 26-minute episodes. Sick. So you can get through it pretty quickly.
Yep, sounds lovely.
So. Yeah, wanted to start the show with that because we love Splinter Cell, and there's the first actual public ray of hope that it's still going to happen.
We're so hungry.
In a long time, yes. Thanks for checking out this clip from Unlocked, IGN's weekly Xbox show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to watch the full episode at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of Unlocked drop every Thursday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.